It wasn't the best day. Or I guess it was a good day for receivers named Brown. Hollywood Brown.
It was an amazing day. Are you kidding me?
Gets traded to the Arizona Cardinals. So
Tragic.
the Ravens traded Hollywood Brown and pick 100 to the Cardinals for the 23rd overall pick. And then they used that pick, the Ravens did, to go trade back and then select Tyler Linderbaum at 25. So I think both teams came up feeling pretty okay about this. Eric DeCosta said that Hollywood Brown requested a trade after the season, and he's been disgruntled for a long time. He doesn't think the offense is a fit for him. And even on Sirius XM radio, on Mad Dog Radio, he said, Hollywood Brown said this, I talked to Lamar about it after my second year and then after my third year leading up to the end of the season. You know, he wasn't playing. I let him know again, like, yeah, bro, I can't do it. You know, it's not really on Lamar. I love Lamar. It was just, it's just the system just wasn't for me personally. I love all my teammates. I love the guys. It was just something I had to think about for myself. So here, it sounds like to me he's blaming the system. It wasn't a good fit, which makes sense because Greg Roman is a run-heavy offense. He's asked to block a lot. It's not an air raid system like what he came out of in college. What do you think about this trade? I know you two are big Kyler Murray fans, and under that assumption, I'm assuming you've loved Kyler Murray not only since the NFL, but since Oklahoma. And the last time Kyler Murray was at Oklahoma, Hollywood Brown had 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. So this reunion with Kyler, what are your thoughts? And I think it's kind of a coincidence as well, because not too long ago we were debating who has the better weapons between the Cardinals and the Ravens.
Full circle.
And now a guy who at the time you picked the Ravens had a better weapons group because you were high on Hollywood. I'm not as high on Hollywood, but I'm curious to know what you think now that he is in a system that fits him better, and he is with his college quarterback, and he is with a quarterback you believe is better in Kyler Murray.
It is crazy how the world works sometimes. For Hollywood Brown to get traded to Arizona is an unbelievably great move for Arizona. To pair him next to DeAndre Hopkins, he's going to see single coverage. And Hollywood Brown on single coverage with Kyler Murray as his quarterback is going to be electric. He is going to be a big play machine in 2022.
Kenneth Walker to Seattle. Interesting.
Wow.
Kenneth Walker.
Wow. And I know why, because Chris Carson's never going to play ball again. I like it. I'm shocked. Malik made so much sense.
Colts here, George Pickens or Malik Willis?
They need a receiver. Pickens or Sky Moore?
Sky Moore right here. I'm with it. So, like I was saying, with DeAndre Hopkins being Marquise Brown's counterpart, it is just going to allow Marquise to be in space so long as DeAndre can stay on the field. We saw him struggle with injury last season, but when he was on the field, he was a touchdown machine. It does not matter who you pair with DeAndre Hopkins, but ironically now you're pairing him with Marquise Brown, who had his best season by far with the Ravens, and it really does make me a little bit sad for Hollywood Brown to leave the Ravens when he's finally started to hit his stride over there in Baltimore. But he's 100% right. It's not a fit for him. He comes to Arizona with Kyler Murray, who is a very wide receiver friendly quarterback. He lets the ball fly downfield, one of the most accurate deep balls in the game, and he lets it go. To pair him with Hollywood Brown, who he has a relationship already with him in Oklahoma, it is going to be a treat to watch them play together. And I'm excited for it. And I have no doubt that Hollywood Brown is going to take another leap in his development this season.
It's funny that Hollywood says this because I just looked up their pass percentages. Baltimore threw the ball 56.37% of the time. Arizona threw it 56.44% of the time. It's a very, very thin margin between the percentage of times Baltimore throws it compared to Arizona throws it. But I understand the notion that Lamar versus Kyler is going to be, or at least their scheme is going to be more pass heavy, 5 wide receiver sets. That's what Cliff likes to do.
And I didn't want to get rude with what I was saying because I don't have anything against Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. I think he is a fantastic quarterback. Without a doubt, he is a great quarterback. But for Marquise Brown, Kyler Murray is going to benefit him tremendously because he is a better passer than Lamar Jackson.
I know what you're saying.
You should look up the percentages for 2020. I say that because in 2021, the D-Hop injury probably skews that number.
And Lamar was out too for some time. So
yeah, but
I know what you're saying. Because once D-Hop goes down, James Conner was fulfilling that that need for them to get some type of offense.
I'll try to look the 2020 numbers. But this trade wasn't bad until we saw the A.J. Brown trade, right? Until we saw the A.J. Brown get traded for pick 18. I was like, all right, Hollywood. I think of him as like a pretty damn good wide receiver too. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 on any team, but he could be a really good wide receiver too. And he really showed that ever since he was a rookie. His rookie season, he was second in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Year 2, he stepped it up. He led the team in all of those statistics. And this past year, his best season to date, first time eclipsing 1,000 yards, and 91 receptions. Obviously, Mark Andrews led the team in a ton of these categories. This was his best season, funny enough, without Lamar, with Lamar missing the most games in his whole career so far. And, him and Hollywood, or Hollywood and Lamar, go back. Like, they have been boys before the NFL. They both grew up in Florida. They've been good friends. So it was kind of weird for me to see this report saying that Hollywood wanted out. I understand he doesn't want to be on a run-first team. He's obviously not a great blocker, only being 5'9".
Yep.
But I was surprised that he didn't want to stick it out with Lamar. Him being his boy and everything, Lamar has shown that he could take the team to the playoffs, win playoff games, and he's a Super Bowl capable playoff game. Something that Kyler hasn't done. But Lamar is capable, just like Kyler, to win the Super Bowl. So I was a bit surprised that he made this request, especially at the end of the season where Lamar was banged up. He wasn't able to stay on the field the whole season, so he didn't really get to see, at least Hollywood, who really came into his own this year, mesh with Lamar to see what they were able to accomplish. But for Arizona, the deal makes them better immediately. Whoever they were going to pick at 23, especially at receiver, are not going to come in and have the impact that Hollywood Brown is going to have. Their wide receiver room going into this season, of course, DeAndre Hopkins is a stud. AJ Green is, on the wrong side of 30. Rondale Moore, it doesn't kill Rondale Moore,
a gadget guy.
But it tells us what the Cardinals think of Rondale Moore.
You love being nice to Rondale Moore.
I am. I like to be nice to players in general, but it tells us what the Cardinals think.
It's a bit different.
It tells them what the Cardinals think of Rondale Moore. They spent a second-round pick on him. They obviously don't see him as the future wide receiver 2 of this team, or else they wouldn't trade their only first-round pick in this draft for Hollywood. But it makes a ton of sense, especially losing Christian Kirk as well. So for Arizona, it helps them immediately. Whoever they pick at 23 wasn't going to help, and they're trying to go out, win playoff games, get to a Super Bowl. They made the playoffs for the first time in a while this past season, and also show Kyler, we got Hopkins, now we got Hollywood. We're putting the pieces around you. They want to re-sign him long-term. It seems like him or Kyler and the Cardinals had some sort of agreement that he's going to put his stuff back on Instagram and, not do all of this social media nonsense.
K1, baby, never in doubt.
They seem to be in a good place, but it's sooner than later they're going to have to give him a $200 million contract, $200 million plus. So then that's when we'll really see what it means for Kyler and the Cardinals. And then lastly for Baltimore, I don't love it, right? I understand what they did. They didn't, at least he's going into year 4. They were going to pick up his 5th-year option, eventually extend him.
Vikings traded up.
Yeah, that's it.
Vikings traded up? Okay. But they went on, used that pick, traded down. Malik, you think that's the Malik spot?
Yep.
Okay. They used that 23rd pick, traded down to get Tyler Linderbaum. They got Kyle Hamilton at 14. They had a phenomenal draft, even only having 1 first-round pick, turning into 2 and getting 2 players who are going to help immediately both at positions of need, DB room and interior offensive line. But having Devin Duvernay as your wide receiver 2 is not pretty. They're going to have to upgrade. They need 2 wide receivers.
And Bateman's got to take a huge leap.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Bateman. I agree. But I view him in a similar light as Hollywood. I don't think either of them are wide receiver 1s. I think Bateman can be a really good wide receiver 2. I'm not sure of seeing him as a top 12 type of receiver. You still have Andrews there. So you have 2 reliable weapons. You're getting J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards back. But there has to be some plan in place because you can't have Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, and Tylan Wallace be your receivers behind Rashad Bateman.
Listen, this is a weird segment for me because I'm not high on either team. I'm not extremely high on either quarterback.
They took Andrew Booth.
That's a good pick as well.
Very good pick.
That's a very good
pick.
Giants on the clock.
You were talking about 34 too. I think Andrew Booth at there is a really good pick.
Definitely.
Now,
great value.
This is what I want to say. The Ravens, offensively, they got worse. I mean, they lost Hollywood Brown. Let's see what Rashad Bateman does. Let's see what he does. I like that they got Tyler Linderbaum out of this. I think this was a really good move for them.
Needed it.
They just lost Bradley Bozeman. He went to the Carolina Panthers. So now you needed to bolster up that offensive line once again. If you do want to be a run-heavy first team, you need a block. Defensively, they're looking better with that Kyle Hamilton pick.
Sure.
Arizona, they're going all in on offense. Their defense is average at best. That's being nice. The offensive line is average at best. That's being nice.
At best.
The tight end room, Zach Ertz and Max Williams, it's okay. It's average.
That's solid.
Zach Ertz is not the player he used to be.
But he had a really good season when he joined Arizona.
But he's not the player he used to be.
I'm with you.
This was good because Rondale Moore is not a traditional receiver. They need a second receiver next to DeAndre Hopkins. This is a Christian Kirk replacement. I mean, what is the real difference between Christian Kirk and Hollywood Brown? Hollywood is slightly better.
Hollywood's better.
It's slightly better.
Hollywood just put up 90, 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns.
I understand Hollywood Brown wanting to be out, wanting to get traded because the scheme fit isn't for him. But I also have to hold him accountable because the scheme has nothing to do with you dropping balls.
It was one game.
Just 3 touchdowns.
I know.
They
won though.
I know.
Wait, are we gonna act like Hollywood Brown hasn't had a drop problem since he entered the NFL? He's had a drop problem since he entered the NFL. But last season,
it was specifically that week against the Lions.
Hollywood Brown was the first receiver drafted in a class that featured A.J. Brown, Debo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf. I mean, this guy gets no breaks. The fact that he wanted to leave. If I'm Eric DaCosta, I'm opening the door for you because there's no way I'm giving you a long-term contract. Arizona now is going to have to give Hollywood Brown a long-term contract. Let's see how that works out. Arizona is in a position where they're now going to pay Kyler Murray big-time money, which, granted, he is a very good player, so he's a great quarterback. You have to pay him. So you're paying Kyler Murray, Hollywood Brown. He's up next. Where's the money to improve this team going forward? I'm not high on Arizona. I thought that, quite frankly, Hollywood Brown, I like it. I like the fit. Air raid fit.
100%.
It's a good scheme fit. Using his speed, I like it a lot. Does this change the trajectory? No. Does this make the Cardinals more fun to watch? Yes.
Trajectory of Arizona.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a trend right now. We're coming off an offseason where Tyreek Hill was traded, Devontae Adams was traded, A.J. Brown was traded, Hollywood Brown was traded. All players, outside of Hollywood at least, that vocalized wanting brand new contracts. And Debo Samuel is disgruntled. I feel like there's a new trend going on where NFL teams are going to start treating the wide receiver position like the running back position. We're gonna get great production out of you if you hit for your rookie contract, but we're not going to pay you that long-term money. We're not going to pay you that. We're not going to give you long-term money. We're not going to give you those guarantees, that big-time deal. If these teams were not willing to pay Devontae Adams, the Packers, which they could have, they just didn't want to, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, I mean, these are big-time names.
Well, Tay wanted out. Green Bay wanted him back. Tay wanted out.
Tyreek
Hill, yeah, I mean, Kansas City, you pay a quarterback that much money, money's going to get tight.
You get handcuffed.
Yeah, and the Giants just took Wan'Dale Robinson.
That pick
sucks. He's 5'8".
I don't understand what's going on there. N'Kobe Dean's right there. You need a linebacker.
I don't mind going receiver.
Blake Martinez.
I don't mind going
Blake
receiver,
Martinez
but I'd rather have
another
Sky
one.
Moore.
He was injured all last season.
5'8",
You don't want to pay that. I don't like it. I would have taken N'Kobe Dean.
He has some injury.
I feel like that's a new trend going on, though.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen, because it's different. Running backs, we've seen second contracts not work out. Receivers, we've seen guys, play well into their late 20s, into their early 30s as well. So I understand what you're saying, and it's interesting because
you're right, but also we're starting to see more frequently receivers coming out of college and putting up big time numbers.
Yeah.
We've seen back-to-back years receivers set the rookie receiving yards record in Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Obviously, those are anomalies.
Thank you.
But the fact that it happened in back-to-back years kind of shows that there is a trend going on.
These are also generational guys. Like Jamar Chase.
Jamar wasn't a prospect.
Jamar is amazing.
I mean, he wasn't an elite level prospect. Justin Jefferson, yeah.
No,
like, these are both.
You said he wasn't. You said he wasn't a prospect.
A generational prospect.
Yes, no, Jamar for sure. Yes. You're 100% right on Jettis. But Jettis has come in. He's already solidified himself at minimum top three.
All these, and in 2019 class, DK had 1,000, had close to 1,000. Terry had close to 1,000. AJ Brown had 1,000. Hollywood didn't have it.
Debo didn't have it.
Debo, but injuries. Like most of these guys have come out and have.
He was relatively healthy rookie season. Yeah, actually. I think he missed one game.
Yeah. 2020 wide receiver class. I'm forgetting who was at the top of that.
Jettis, Ruggs, Lamb.
Yeah, Judy, all those guys. All those guys
Higgins,
outside of Judy, Rager. Well, mostly 3 misses, like 2 hits. But
you're saying Judy's a miss?
So far, yes, it is a miss.
You just got to get onto the wave.
Bro, 400 yards? Are you kidding me?
You missed 8 games. Well,
Bro, he missed almost half
I know,
the season.
but like so far, it's a miss. Off of the production, I'm not saying he's going to
Drew
be a
Lock
bust.
was his quarterback. He had almost 900 receiving yards.
I'm not saying he's going to be a bust, but so far it's been a miss. Like if the
No, I'm glad.
if
It's
football,
good. It's good.
If
No,
football,
bro, it's good.
If,
It's good.
If somehow,
bro, it's good. It's good.
I know. I'm just saying.
No, there's nothing to say. You're fine. You don't need. No,
I'll finish saying my statement.
I don't know if you want to.
If football stopped today, nobody played again, and we just look back at their careers,
Oh my
Judy's
God,
a miss.
Such a whack comment to make, though.
Yeah, that's tough, bro. 2 years. He's been injured. But one thing that's interesting, look at the teams that are trading away these receivers too.
Ruggs is more of a hit than Judy so far.
Please.
Well, not anymore,
Bro,
but
can we stop recording the show? What you just said was ridiculous.
What are you saying?
Henry Ruggs has never played another down in the NFL.
no, but like their first 2 years, Ruggs' first 2 years compared to Judy's
you
first
could
2
look at
years,
his first year.
Ruggs
That's
is
it,
better.
bro.
Ruggs is
But
better.
regardless, the teams that are trading away these receivers, like you have the Chiefs, the Titans, the Packers, all teams that we think are, well organized, competent teams, really don't have an issue trading away these guys too. And the teams that are acquiring them, the Dolphins, I saw this, I forgot who mentioned this, but like the teams who are acquiring these guys are usually the teams that we don't think of the most well run, like the Raiders and the Dolphins. So while I don't agree with you in terms of I think giving out second contracts to receivers is fine, the teams that have been winning over these last 10 years are trading away wide receivers and don't seem to be, hell-bent on it.
Also, the teams acquiring them, Dolphins, Eagles,
Raiders.
rookie quarterbacks.
True.
So that's
Not the
all.
Raiders, but yeah.
And Arizona is about to pay Collar, but that's and the Raiders, but that's showing that if teams already are paying a quarterback, most likely the wide receiver is not getting that extension.
Yeah, that's why you got to be aggressive while you have that rookie contract.
Yeah, no
For
doubt.
the quarterbacks.